Kanchan Chander is a multi-disciplinary artist who works in the mediums of printmaking, painting, mixed media, drawings, sculptures, assemblages and video art. Her themes are very often autobiographical, and she is known more for using the female torso. Kanchan's global recognition is mirrored by the range of global collections at various museums all over the world. We are extremely happy to have with us Ms. Kanchan Chander, a very, very eminent Indian artist. Welcome, Kanchan.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for Chaibrary to call me here. It's just that I'm coming with a sense of guilt and a heavy heart because my professor Zharotia used to always say, Kanchan Aja, studio Aja, and have lunch with me. And I always wanted to come with a friend of mine, but we couldn't. So when I was coming here, there was a sense of guilt. But I would say that from up there, he probably would be happy that I finally came and would be blessing the whole family because they are doing such a beautiful effort.
That is so beautifully expressed, Kanchan. We would like to know, you have become such an established artist, particularly, you have a very strong focus on the female torso. And of course, you have been in a multiplicity of genres of art. So could you tell us how it all began? We would like to know about it right from the beginning, how you got interested in art and what happened thereafter.
Actually, my father was a diplomat, so I traveled a lot with him to different countries. And he was in the cultural side, but he was not culturally inclined. So it was me who, being the youngest, always accompanied him to museums and art exhibitions. And that's how I got interested. And then when I did my end of the schooling, I wanted to do English literature. But my English language teacher failed me. So at that time, my father was posted to East Berlin, what was at that time East Berlin. And I told him, I said, you go and find out if there are courses there. So he found out, and that's when he called me after a year, and I joined as a guest student in East Berlin, Kunsthochschule. And later I did my first year of bachelor degrees there. That's how the journey started.
And after your first year?
After the first year, then I came back here, joined College of Art, and I did 3 years. At that time, the college BFA was 5 years course, and I did 3 years, and then again he got posted to Santiago, Chile. And he sent me all those emotional atyachar letters saying that come, and I said, no, I have to finish my course. So then I talked to one of my professors, and he said a very nice thing. He says, Kanchan, go, because if the base is bigger, the pyramid goes higher. So if you are going 1 year to Santiago and doing a course there in art, you'll come back enriched. And that was true. I came back, I did 1 year guest student there again, and I came back and I finished my college here. And when I went to Santiago, I did a course in gravure. That was in, you can say, in dry point and etching.
So your journey began with actually printmaking.
Yeah, actually, I would say that I give my printmaking credit to my teacher at that time, Anupam Sood, who had just joined College of Art. And, I started etching with her. And then when I went to Santiago, I asked for a course in etching, but I got dry point. So I did dry point there. And yeah, that's true. I started the career with it. That's how I got interested in the medium of printmaking. But the course that I did was painting, and printmaking was a subsidiary at that time. That time, printmaking was not a full subject.
And how did you develop this proclivity towards mixed media and the female form?
See, whenever I did the etchings and paintings, they were very sort of, a lot of it is autobiographical. But I don't exactly represent myself as it is, but I take a very indirect imagery. And there were a lot of atrocities happening to women around me, whether it was the maid, whether it was some relative. So that affected me, and I was at that time a very quiet and docile girl. So I would absorb more. So when I saw these things happening around me, I started working on the female form, full female form. And later on, when I had a trip in '94 in USA, where I saw a show retrospective of Robert Rauschenberg. Robert Rauschenberg doesn't make torsos, but he inspired me to such an extent that I came back and I started working on torsos, because you see, the issues of women are universal. So I didn't want to identify her, whether it's you or me or the woman next door. So I removed the head, I removed the limbs and the legs, and I just concentrated on the torso, because I felt the torso, if you see Indian sculptures, the lavanya, the grace is so beautiful that I just felt, let me just represent the female torso, and that's how it started.
But aapka this kind of interest was there right from the beginning, because if you look at an earlier work of yours, which is Incarnation of Tolerance, I can see that you're going in a certain trajectory even in that early work.
See, Incarnation of Tolerance, at that time I was a reader. I was reading a little bit of Krishnamurti and a lot of poems by Rabindranath Tagore. So this topic I got from Rabindranath Tagore, this one poem based on Incarnation of Tolerance. And I felt that woman is an incarnation of tolerance. I mean, she has to go through a lot with her when she's a daughter, then when she's a wife, and then later as a mother. So she's the one who holds up the whole house together. So that's when I did, and surprisingly this print was selected by the University of Iowa when they did a day of intolerance. So they selected this print because this is in their collection, and I was very surprised to see that and very happy. But yes, my figures depict a lot, because I feel that a woman's body and the torso has a lot inside it. It's got sensitivity, sensuousness, fertility, motherhood. There is a lot which is inside that torso, which I feel I can sort of like portray being a woman. And being a woman, I support women issues a lot. I'm not a feminist, definitely, but I do support women issues.
And you do that by primarily your art.
Yes, through my art. I don't come out on the streets and nare lagana. I don't do all that, slogan shouting. I have been doing it through my art, and I think this film that I have made, video which I made 5-6 years back called Mental Block, it was so effective that I have had women coming and seeing that 4 minutes video and crying. Not that I want to make them cry, but you see the emotions that are inside them pour out when they see that. So I feel this is the best compliment I can get as a woman and as an artist, when somebody reacts to that so strongly.
So do you feel that when you're talking of atrocities, do you yourself feel that somewhere you felt a kind of marginalization because you're being a woman, or in your personal or even in your professional life as an artist?
Yes, because I brought up my son almost single-handedly, and at the same time I was doing a full-time job and I was looking after my old parents, the father who was almost dying. So it was like I was the pillar of the house, and I was like sort of very strong. And I faced a lot of problems, mental harassment when I was teaching in the College of Art. My good teachers who were at that time had left, they had all retired. So the newer batch, they could not understand that how is it that a single woman can handle all this together and so much with ease, like handling old parents. My father passed away at that time, and a full-time job, looking after a child. And I had just discovered that my son was dyslexic. So they could not understand that how is it that I could do so much of multitasking and yet always keep smiling. So I think it was the harassment that I went through that I decided that I give up my job without pension, which was a very big decision because the pension is a good package. But then I decided, let me just go ahead, and I went, and here I am.
So actually, could you say that it's because you left your job, you went full time into your own work and you focused on your art, and so?
Yes, but I also needed bread and butter. So what I did, since I didn't have the pension option, I started part-time teaching and helping kids make their portfolios for universities abroad, because I felt there was a very good opportunity like this, because the schools don't cater to that needs. They don't look after the art very well. There are very few, handful of schools which do that. So I thought this was a good way, and I've survived till today.
I have a question to ask you. So many of your work, as you just said, it's very autobiographical. And again, coming back to art and women, we see that many times women want to show parts of their own life into their paintings, and perhaps I feel that it is time that the personal becomes absolutely valued, the experiences of women. And so if I look at your paintings, you have, I think cheese toast and kebab, and there's another painting which is Mother Mary. And I think that the way you are getting the personal, the autobiographical, it's so essential that it is recognized as part of experience, of human experience, not just women's experience. Any thoughts on this?
That's right. For example, the painting Cheestos and Kebabs, like since I was doing a full-time job and coming back to old parents and to a child who I had to do remedial classes with him because of dyslexia, it was very easy to open the freezer, thaw the kebabs and fry them and give it to him as dinner or make a cheese toast. So that's what I'm saying. These personal things I incorporated into my artworks. So I made a painting called Cheestos and Kebabs, and that was quite a successful painting. And then I started at that time, somewhere in the 90s, I dreamt of a goddess. Earlier I was not so religious, and the dream of the goddess, that's when I started doing the Devi series. It was somewhere in the mid-90s. And it is, you can say, like, if you see a lot of my prints, like the Forlorn Queen, because of my broken marriage, it was drifting away, it was breaking. So instead of like fretting over it, I sort of took it out in my art. And here you have a woman like in a queenly way and a man with a horse face. And on the horse, there is a small animal on the nose. So, that way I incorporated the small animal always on my shoulder or on the nose was actually my son, the attachment that we have. And now that he's also got to become an artist. So now it's like he's in his early 30s and we have a very beautiful relationship where, where we are more like friends. And we can criticize each other's works a lot. He's also into theatre, he directs plays. So, I am a best critique of him and vice versa.
You've also done a collaborative work with him.
Yes, I did one. That was in Art Positive, where he was studying in Birmingham. And when he came for the vacation, we did a painting together. And when we did the installation on the walls, I did it through Skype. So on the Skype, I was asking him, what do I do? And he was guiding me from UK, Birmingham, what to do. So it was a very interesting collaborative work we did. And now it is actually acquired by one of my cousins. So in his bar area, he has actually put it up.
So you started work on your Devi series, but before that I would also like to talk about another aspect of your work which sort of differentiates you from other artists and also shows a kind of thinking which is so essential for art to go in a certain way, and I mean the popular. So you are quite into popular art in the sense you've had exhibitions on Hollywood actresses, on Bollywood, and then even with your Devi you try to now sort of contemporize everything. So do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I personally very strongly believe that an artist should not be stagnant. It's not that if he's making a tree, he should make the tree for all his life. I mean, it's very personal, it's very subjective. But I work on the Devi series, the Torso series. I did work on the Hollywood, Bollywood, because if I was not a painter, my dream was to become an actress, so which I did not become. So I said, let me take it out on that. For almost 10, 12 years, I did these series on Hollywood, Bollywood, and later I did a series on Frida and me, Frida Kahlo and me. So these I now incorporate into each other. Like very recently during COVID time, I did a triptych, a huge triptych, which was 3x5:1. You can say it was like 9x5 feet work, which was later acquired by the Kiranada Museum. And there I incorporated the Devis, I incorporated Frida Kahlo and Amrita Shergill. So, it's like it keeps bouncing back. I mean, these images of torsos keep coming, the Devis keep coming. I don't want to be a stagnant artist. I mean, I believe in, like, if you pick up history of art, you will see that every artist has had, periods of art. Picasso had his pink period, the blue period, the cubism. So I also have got these things, but now I mean, sort of like I incorporate a lot of these imageries and sort of like juxtapose them. And again, it's like, I won't say it's autobiographical now, earlier it was, but now I'm concentrating more on what I encounter in my daily life.
Yeah, so I can see that Frida Kahlo, Amrita Shergill have been major influences. Have you done any self-portraits?
In that 3 triptych I did, I have one which one of them looks like me. So basically, yeah, I have incorporated them in a very indirect way.
Your work on Devi, and of course, I'm thinking of the Yogini also, a particular painting in which the Yogini in the womb is a child, I think, about to be born, and the idea of fertility. And then I am trying to connect it to the sculpture that you did for Jindal, which was in stainless steel. So there is this also preoccupation with the idea now yogini and the idea of fertility and the Devi. So any thoughts on this?
No, when I did that thing on the yogini, usually that form where the yogini is, she's giving birth to a child coming out from the womb. So I didn't do that. I had another woman coming out from the body. So that's how I sort of incorporate these things. Like the stainless steel fertility work which I did was again a Devi. It was a very interesting thing because going to Manesar and doing it there was not easy. But it was interesting. So, I mean, I'm open to newer mediums even now. Like, for example, recently I'm doing a lot with digital art. So, I think it's very important for the artist to go along with the times. So, I have improvised, I have developed, I have sort of like gone ahead and started with these mediums also. Why not? Basically, I remain a painter and I do mixed media and a printmaker, but there's no harm in doing it. It's fun. It's always nice. You can't have dal every day. Na? You want to have a little bit of spices. You want to have a little bit of chicken curry. So basically, it's like that. That's how I do a little bit of video art, a little bit of that. But that is in betweens of phases. And I think that helps me develop more the forms that I do.
So, Kanchan, I see that you have carried on all the techniques and genres simultaneously. So, unlike other artists, many other artists who picked up one medium and then they moved on to the other and then experimented with something else, as opposed to that, you are carrying everything. So, you're still doing prints, you're still doing paintings and acrylics, and you keep adding on to it. So lately what we have been seeing in your work is that you're concentrating on assemblages also and also a lot of embellishments and mixed media. Could you talk about that?
Well, very often when people meet me who knew me about 45 years back, they ask me that why don't you do that type of work? But that was 45 years back. I am a totally changed person. I was docile, I was very innocent, and I was a very quiet person. Now I'm vocal. I talk, I express a lot. So I cannot repeat that, though I love that period of work. So I do carry on with all these genres. It depends, like, for example, when I'm in the time of painting, I do painting for a longer time. Then sometimes I do mixed media. So I work in all these mediums, not simultaneously, but there are phases where I do printmaking. Right now I'm doing printmaking. Since I don't have a print studio, I'm at the mercy of other studios. My friends or my ex-students' places, I go and do printmaking. So there is a lot of involvement also of availability and physicality. Like physically, it's not possible to do a print at home. So I do prints, like I do 3-4 prints in a year. And whenever I feel there is a little mental block, I just get into doodling. I do drawings. I have done during the COVID time, like I told before, I had done this huge triptych of paintings. And then I worked on books, drawing books, which were exhibited during the art fair. And I did books on drawings, I did books on mixed media. So, it's like I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I like to do all. And if you ask me my favorite, it's very difficult. It's like asking a mother, who's your favorite child? There is a little bit of this thing, like I prefer painting, I prefer mixed media, I love mixed media. Also, I would like to say that mixed media is very therapeutic for me because very times, you are stressed with you're doing house chores and you're doing outside work, and the art world itself gives you so much of stress. So, when I do these mixed medias, I get totally involved. And for me, it's like very therapeutic and meditative. When I get up from the work, I say, oh my God, I was having a headache, it's gone. So it's very yogic. So I like all the mediums. Video is something I would like to venture into more, but I do that very rarely, very seldom.
So I would like to actually focus on two of your works. One is Male Nail, and the other is, of course, your late exhibition on pop art. So Male Nail, I think you used a lot of nails and it was a huge artwork. And from there, and in the pop art, what you're doing is that you've used a lot of embellishments. So I would like you to sort of tell us about the journey from male nail to pop art.
Say male nail, like I earlier mentioned that I mostly do female torsos. So once I said I was questioned by a male and I said, okay, let me try. I made the male. Now I can't put flowers on the male. Na? I mean, though I have made a painting called Ardh Nareshwar, which has half man and half woman. And in the woman's body, I put flowers, and the male, I put all the tools. Now in this male nail, it's a little, you can say a little naughty work. I have added nails, I have added hammers, nuts and bolts, screws, and it's basically I have put the screwdriver at the right place. It's a bit notorious, and surprisingly, it was acquired by a man in Germany. So it was fun doing that. So then it comes to the pop art. Now, how I started doing physical torsos was fun. I had a show in 2017 in visual art, and visual art, as you know, it's a huge gallery. So the walls were filled up with lots of my paintings, my mixed medias, and my drawings. But I thought of putting up something in the middle. So what I did, I went to the market and I picked up these plastic mannequins and I started doing mixed media on it, thinking that, you know, it's basically to fill the space and to give a little bit of, you know, sort of interesting element. And it turned out to be a hit. So in fact, all of them were sold. And I kept telling the person who bought, like, listen, this is very temporary. I don't know the longevity of the work because it's on plastic, you know. But they said, no, still want to buy it. So then I said, okay, I cannot be unreasonable to the client. So I got it fabricated in fiberglass. And now I'm doing it on mixed media on that. Now I do the flat ones and then I do the double ones. The double ones, when you put together, it's very interesting. Very often when I was asked this question in the Kiranada Museum and it was put up in the pop show, that is this a male or is the woman? So I said, okay, I leave it to the viewer to judge and guess. So it's something which can be a female torso, it could be a male torso. It was fun. It was fun. It's a lot of embellishment and I collect these stuff wherever I go. You know, when I go to different villages and cities, people usually go to the big stores and big malls. I go to the local shops and I pick up stuff from there and I embellish it with that. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun doing it. It's therapeutic. It's meditative.
So where are we looking at you going in the future? Are there any interesting more developments that you are exploring?
Yeah, there's some nice, interesting, important group shows coming up, which I'll be part of. And I'll be working a lot on the mixed medias. I think people react more to the mixed medias of mine because it's something unique. It's something different. Paintings I do because I follow my heart and I love painting. It's like bouncing. If I go to painting, I come back to mixed media and vice versa. So I want to do these at a much larger scale, and something else is in the pipeline, which you'll be seeing very soon.
Would you like to give us a glimpse of that?
Not yet.
Okay, we'll wait for it. So Kanchan, what I'm looking at is that as you moved in your journey, there has been a lot of, as we mentioned earlier, autobiography, but it's also been, I think art has also been a way of dealing with grief and tragedy. And you had some series of artworks around this area. So would you share your thoughts on that?
It was when I was still in the last year of my college. Unfortunately, my only brother passed away in a road accident. So that left a big impact on me as a person and in my artworks. So that series, I did The Shadow of Death, I did The Bereaved, and basically I became like a pillar to my parents. My sister was married, so she had her own family to look after. So I had to give moral support to my parents and sort of revive their confidence, and to such a stage that my mother even went to a psychiatric because, you know, what she was going through. So all that was going on when I was in the last year of my college, and I was determined that I had to top because it would give my parents some sort of a boost, and I did top, fortunately. So that series was, I think, very important. It was called Mother and Daughter, and it was called Shadow of Death, Bereaved. Quite a number of these which I've shared with you.
And as we moved on in your journey, we see that now you're going into so many embellishments. There is so much, you know, it's a profusion of color and mixed media. And lately you've also ventured out into videos. So how has your experience been?
Well, I think I didn't mention this, that I don't have a helper. and I don't intend keeping one. So everything from the sourcing of the material, from embellishing it, from running around to framers and all, I do it myself. There is a certain joy I receive from that. Nowadays, a lot of artists have apprentices and they have people working with them. I don't like that. I like to do everything on my own. And video, coming to your video art, that was the time my mother was with me and she was undergoing medical treatment, and we discovered that she's got last stage cancer. So, for me, it was very difficult to sort of like, paint at that time, something serious. So I started making expressions of myself in the laptop, and expressions, and then little bit of videos. And then I did not know how to edit it. So one of my ex-students, she edited for me. And basically that is, in that video, I'm trying to depict the psyche of a woman. Not you and me who are working, but a common woman. What does she go through? She has a lot to say, she has a lot to share, but there is no listener. She's subdued by the father at times, then by the husband, then by the son. In fact, I made a very important work in the mid-90s called Adolescence, Motherhood, and Beyond. What happens after all these roles are finished? So it was a question mark. And when I exhibited this in Berkeley, in USA, there was a very nice debate based on that particular work. It was a strong thing which I wanted to convey.
You've also been part of presentations in the Institute of Art, Chicago.
I have given talks all over, and fortunately, I've also shown this particular short film, thinking that there'll be mostly women audiences, and there was a lot of men in the audience who reacted to it and asked me a lot of questions. So yes, I like interacting with youngsters. I feel younger when I do that, and I feel that whatever I can impart to them, why not? So very often I'm invited to places to give talks on my experiences and all. I go with a little reluctant mind that, this is a new audience, but most of the time it turns out to be a nice thing and people are receptive.
And after all, you have been an educator, so
Yes, I think that teaching is really in my blood. I love teaching and I love interacting with youngsters.
So I would just like to ask you now, after this entire discussion, what is art to you?
Art is my breath. I breathe art, I eat art, I drink art, and I sleep art. There have been times when we were struggling and there was not much money. So whatever money came, the first priority used to be always buying material. And my son is also an artist, so both of us have this tendency that whenever we get a good amount, the first thing we do is we buy art material and hoard it for rainier days. And it's something which, if you ever come to my studio, my house, you'll see art all over. So it's like we live art, and I cannot imagine life, without art. I mean, people usually think what they'll do in the retirement or old age. I just want till the end of my life, I just go on painting or drawing. This is what my wish is.
That's very well said. We would also like you to say a few words about Zharotia ji.
The more I say, the less it is, because he's been a big inspiration for me. I was not his favorite student. I don't know why, which I later questioned and I used to tease him. But later on, when I used to sit with him, and we had a small group with him, with Jay sir, with Vora sir, and Professor Mago. So we used to have this addabazi, कि एक दूसरे के घर में जाके चाय खाना होता था. And Jay sir has always encouraged me. I remember a particular incident when Gadi Studios closed, and I, being a workaholic, I was frustrated that ab kaam nahi hoga, and I had a small room in the Barsati, where you can't do much more than drawing. So I was sitting in his studio with a long face, and he said, "Kya hua?" So I said, "Sir, Gadi Studio band ho gaya." He didn't say anything. He got up, he went, and unke office ke piche ek almari hoti thi steel ki. He opened it, he took out a piece of ply, and he took out some tools, and he gave it to me. He said, "Ye le, start woodcut." And I had studied woodcut in Santiago with a proper block of wood. I said, "Sir, ye to ply hai, is pe kaise hogi?" So he says, "Tu kar." And trust me, I started doing it, and I thank him till today that how he encouraged me. So here was somebody who was senior to me, who was my teacher, my professor. He understood, what it was to be without doing art. He could empathize with me and how he sort of encouraged me. And even later on, like I started this interview by saying that he kept telling me, ki, come over and we'll, studio mein aaja, we can chat. So we've had a very good relationship. He's been my inspiration. And also he was very fond of my son's works. He would always come to his shows and encourage him, and बाद में बोलते बेटे को बोल दियो अच्छा काम कर रहा है. So you see, that's a lot of encouragement.
Any particular thoughts on this platform itself?
I think what Jais's family is doing in Chaibrary is fantastic. I think it's brilliant. It's beautiful because it's not only sort of concentrated only on visual arts. You're having performing arts, you're having literature, you're having poetry, and it's a service to the art. It's something which is selfless and very encouraging, and I think they'll do much better. They'll be doing more and more, and I wish them all the best.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. It was an extremely fascinating conversation, and all the best to you. With that, we come to the end of this episode of Chaibrary. We do hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. Please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Press the bell icon for latest updates. We really do thank you for your love and support. This is Jyoti Kathpalia from the sets of Chaibrary saying bye-bye. Namaskar.